Yeah, like at one point, they were talking about 7 years worth of content after, like post death. But I don't know how reliable that source was. I was like beginning of middle school.
Like post content, like as in like he had new albums, new music.
Like no, he had just like so much music stockpiled, like on a server or some shit that he could just release 7 years worth of music.
Well, I remember him. He had an interview back when watching movies with the sound off came out. And
like our freshman, sophomore year?
Yeah, the summer after our sophomore year. And he was talking about how But My Mac and A10E was never intended to be released to the general public. That was supposed to be a mixtape for just him and his homies.
Yeah, do something to sell at high school.
Yeah, and just for Pittsburgh alone. And let me say, when Mac Miller was coming up and when I discovered him, this guy was a very smart businessman. He knew how to market his stuff. He skips.
He was far ahead of his time when it came to like self-marketing.
This was a guy who skipped school. He got an inheritance from his grandpa, and rented an apartment across the street from Tyler Alderdice High School. You know, Wiz Khalifa went to high school.
Yeah.
And he would skip school but go to school just to sell his mixtapes. He had a shoebox full of cassette tapes. He would distribute, hand out, and sell. And I remember there was on before they were famous on YouTube, they talk about how him and his homies would go to parties and steal, go through girls' purses, steal TVs, and that's how he funded his studio time and bought equipment and stuff. And I know how, I can see why people would be like, oh, that's bad. But that's how he did it. He did what he had to do to get famous, even if it, bent the rules. And I remember listening, I got my hands on But My Mac and A10E maybe not even 3 months after it came out. I don't know whether it was exactly 3 months after he dropped it, but I remember it was like Solar Rap, or it was some underground rap website. And I literally typed in white rapper. I don't know why, but I typed in white rapper. And it was right there, and I remember listening to it, and I called my brother, and I'm like, have you heard of this guy? His name's Easy Mac. He was like, no. I was like, this guy is going to be big. And it's a funny story, when Donald Trump came out, my brother came in and was like, yo, man, you got to hear this man, Mac Miller, man. Like,
no, yeah.
He's this next best white rapper, man. And I'm like, yeah, that's easy. That's the same dude. That's Easy Mac.
No. So like my cousin hit me up. It was like the summer after 5th grade. So I was about to go to middle school. I went to Pennsylvania to spend the summer there, whatever. And my cousin hits me up and he's like, yo, dude, there's this dude in Pittsburgh. He's selling CDs. Check it out. So I'm sitting like, all right, whatever, like what you got? So he slides me one weekend to go see him, whatever. Mm-hmm. I'm listening to it at my grandma's house. My grandpa's banging on the door, like, turn that shit off. I'm like, hey, like.
Sounds like my dad.
Yeah, I turned it down a little bit. I'm like, dude, this is pretty good. Like, this white guy, like, that's crazy. Like, this is a time when, like, Chris Webby didn't come out yet. Asher Roth didn't come out yet. Sammy Adams didn't come out yet. Like, there was just Eminem when it came to white rappers. And what?
Cypress Hill. The Beastie Boys, 90s stuff. There wasn't any time. Yeah, there wasn't anything of that recent.
Yeah, nothing like for me being a '96 baby, like to really grow up on. But yeah. So I'm like, yo, this dude's good. Like, I need to keep up with him. And then I find out he changed the name to Mac Miller, and I'm like, oh my god! Like, kids came out, and I'm like, this is amazing. This is the best thing I've ever.
Do you know how he got the name Mac Miller?
So
you know how he always went by Easy Mac.
Yeah.
Mac was always kind of his name.
Yeah.
Miller's his brother's name, and somehow he probably, what I've heard is that he got high and just combined the two and it stuck. And I remember jamming to this stuff. I used to have when iPod Touches first came out, and I remember the first time I listened was iPod Nano. And I had these really expensive headphones, and literally you can double them as speakers. They were that loud. I remember walking through my middle school, blaring J's on my feet, and everyone was like, "Oh, what the fuck is that? Never heard of that, or whatever." And the same story like my brother. Donald Trump came out. The song Donald Trump came out, and everyone was like, "Yeah, man, you gotta hear Mac Miller, man." And I'm like, "Dude, that's the same guy I was just telling y'all about." And I knew once I listened to that track that this guy's on to something. And Wiz Khalifa then got big. And then I learned that they actually went to the same high school. They're from the same rap class, 2008. Really good rap class, by the way. And then shortly after that, I remember, when we got early in high school, I remember I'm meeting you. And me and you, our friendship was founded on hating Michigan football.
And Mac Miller.
And Mac Miller's music. And because I think I was in construction class and we were working in a shop and I had it on my phone. And
I was immediately like, that's my homie.
Yeah, that's our homie. And I'll never forget that time. We got high as hell. High as shit. God, yeah, in the same room. In this very room that we were recording.
And some girl called me.
Girl called me, and then we put that shit on speaker, and what was it? Knock, knock. And we were just like, 1, 2, 3, 4, some crazy ass kids coming knocking on. Yeah.
Let him in. Let him in.
And yeah, so to hear about him passing, it really devastated me, and I was labeled as a white guy who was obsessed with his music, and I was, because as paradox and as crazy as it sounds, he died of an overdose. And this is a guy who at the time when my mom passed away, this is right when Watching Movies with the Sound Off came out, this was the time I was contemplating suicide and overdose, and I was very experimental with drugs, alcohol. And a lot of my family doesn't know that. They're going to watch the episode and be like, what the fuck? Whatever, that's the truth. And there's a lot of times I thought about taking my life and exploring the other side. And so what really hit me hard is that someone who stopped me from overdosing and someone who stopped me from being suicidal because, over really upbeat music and say, hey, no matter where life takes you, find me with a smile, that really affected me. And so for him to die of an overdose when he stopped me from an overdose, it just, in a very weird way, it brings me more closer to him. And I appreciate his music more because, when Faces came out, you can tell he was in a very dark place. Very fucking dark place. And honestly, I was like, this might be it for him. We could wake up and what we experienced today could have been 3 years ago. And so, and to hear people online, and I don't want to give these people attention, but say who, and just another rapper OD'd, this was a culture. This was a serious
100%.
culture.
Like he took this younger generation in Pittsburgh and he made it his own culture. He individualized it, and he made it to where it's become not just a Pittsburgh culture, like this very within the city thing. Like it became like a suburban feeling of we're young kids, we want to do our own thing, we don't believe in the rules that older generations are telling us this is the way life is, and he made it his own, and we made it our own, and with his music and with him growing up.
Yeah, he has a lot of African American followers, and a lot of black rappers respect him, did collabs with him. He even did a collab with Prodigy. This song is called what's that song called? Confessions of a Cash Register. If you haven't listened, dope ass beat. And Prodigy died not too long ago. And Prodigy was from Dope Deep, one of my favorite 90s shook ones. If you ain't, there ain't no such thing about halfway, there's no such thing as halfway crooks. That song was on 2K. That song's very popular. So for him to do a collab with him, that was off the chain. So he had a lot of African American followers. However, he catered to white suburbia. White suburbia, rebellious kids who smoke weed, drink alcohol, run from the police. Yeah, so his music honestly really it meant the world to me, man. And to hear that he's gone, I always live through his music. I always keep his music popular. I'll always play it. Rest in peace, Malcolm McCormick.
Yeah, I mean, as someone from that area, it's crazy to me, the way mental health is kind of just shit on in this country, and the way society kind of is it's a problem, but we don't care. Mm-hmm. Realistically, nobody cares. There's no funding going to anything. There's no actual help being given to anybody who's struggling with mental health. And I mean, it is a prevalent thing, especially in this generation of social media and cyberbullying and all that. But I mean, as much as I disagree with things, it is a problem. I don't know, it's crazy to know somebody that I looked up to and listened to and felt like I grew up, I don't want to say idolizing, but being this major fan of, and like didn't understand he was going through so much and take his life, or not take his own life, but to die like that, it is a horrible thing.
Well, a lot of people think that this overdosing thing is a Hollywood issue, and being from a state that meth is so prevalent, and I'm not saying he overdosed on meth or anything. It's not a Hollywood issue. It's a United States issue. Excuse me. So, to hear people addiction is the disease. It's simply a disease, whether you want to look at it and accept it or not. And people who've never been to that spectrum of life and never been to that edge, and I have, it's a serious issue. It's a serious problem. Like you said, there's not enough going on in America. So if we could take one thing away from Mac Miller's death, I hope that we can raise awareness about overdosing and stuff like that, because it's a serious issue. Mental health in America is very, very low right now. It's the lowest it's probably ever been. And it's taking innocent lives. And yeah, you can say, yeah, he was a drug addict. He did have addiction issues, and that's why Ariana Grande said that she left him. Unfortunately, he had substance abuse problem. And I know he got clean after clean after he did Faces, because he was whacked out on Faces.
Oh, he was bad. Like if you listen to that, it was bad.
So I hope this can be a lesson learned, and you know, he may be gone physically, but his legacy is always gonna live.
Yeah, 100%, dude. I mean, like it's within our age group and generation. Like we knew his music, like we grew up with it, and now it's kind of
like how we felt about Mac Miller dying is how my dad felt when John Bonham from Led Zeppelin died. You know, Led Zeppelin, my dad knew about before they were famous. So when I was telling my dad, because my dad was like, how do you get into that? And I was explaining it to him. I'm like, you remember how you felt when you found Led Zeppelin before they were famous, and you were going, and when people were like, oh yeah, have you heard of Led Zeppelin, and have you heard of this, and heard this song and this song of theirs? You were like, hey, that I knew about them before they were big. I had Led Zeppelin 1 before y'all had Led Zeppelin, before y'all even knew about Led Zeppelin. That's how I felt with Mac Miller, because I knew about him before he was Mac Miller. And like you said, it was a Pittsburgh thing, and I knew about him, and I haven't even been to Pittsburgh. I've never set foot in that city. So for me to find out about him, and he was able to market that shit before he was 18 years old and get that big.
No, crazy, right?
And he worked his ass off for it. I mean, he grinded. I mean, that's what his dream was, and he made it contribute. And people saying he wasn't a musician, he played multiple instruments. He played keyboard, guitar, bass, drums, and he played some horns. So he played 5 instruments at least. Very talented individual. And it was good to have hip hop that wasn't about, you know, guns and violence. Yeah, it was about sex. A lot of it was sex and drugs. But what were we doing at 14, 15, 16, 17-year-old? Drinking.
Sex and drugs.
Sex and drugs. Running from the police, having parties, getting parties raided by police. I mean, we've had plenty of parties together.
Oh, yeah.
That's no matter whether it's good or bad, and no matter how stupid it was back then, it was a culture. It was us. Mac Miller's
music, everything we were all about. Like,
yeah,
we loved it.
Mac Miller's music was us. And, you know, he's gone, and it devastates me, but, you know, I thank him for the music that he did give us.
I definitely thank him for everything from the summer of 2008 to today. You know, I mean, it was an amazing ride while it lasted.
It was, and it's
gone too soon.
He's gone, but the ride stopped. But you know, there's a lot to go back on. I literally discovered that song, "The Drive" with him and Chevy Woods, literally 2 weeks ago, and that song came out 3 years ago. I didn't even know about it.
Really?
Yeah, and so hopefully when his estate gets settled, and there's a lot of music that we haven't heard, that his family decides to publish some of his music.
That somebody has a plan, yeah.
Yeah, someone has a plan to release some music that we haven't heard. So we still might get what may be old music of his will be new to us.
Dude, I would be down for like an old school Mac mixtape. Like old school, like kids, best day ever, Sour Hour type mixtape. I'd be down for that.
I forgot about Sour. Sour Hour was
really good, dude. Remember the music he was releasing before that? The Party in the USA remix.
Party in the USA remix.
Alicia Keys, what song? Where he's like, I keep on smoking.
Yeah.
My weed. That one was banger, dude. Those are two bangers.
And everyone, when they get in high school, they kind of determine early on what their party anthem's going to be or what their high school anthems is. And we didn't have one. We had all of Kids. Kids was high school. Kids is what we... Whatever he rapped about is what we were doing. So, of course, it catered to us.
Oh,
and
senior skip day, Kool-Aid and frozen pizza outside.
Frick Park. That wasn't a party, Kids, but...
No, that was part of the album, Blue Side Park.
Blue Side Park, yeah.
Amazing album.
Yeah, great album.
That was the first time he ever really made money off any of his music, too. I mean, realistically, like, before that, it was all free mixtapes that you could just go download.
Yeah, and that was the first one he went on tour with. And his concerts were fucking dope, dude. Those are fucking spectacles, man.
That is the one thing I'm very upset. Like, I never got to, like, physically enjoy it in person.
And for him to come out with his crew in 15-degree weather, we're out there waiting by his tour bus, and security was running us off, and for him to come out and I didn't get to dap him up. I wasn't that close. I didn't get that close, so I'm going to get to take a picture with him. But for him to yell across the street where we were standing, say, "Hey, guys, thanks for coming out tonight. You know, you guys mean so much to us." And get on a tour bus. That 5-second thank you was... It meant the world to us. You know, it was cold as fucking balls, dude. But we didn't give a fuck because that was our role model. That was our inspiration. That's who we wanted to... Honestly, ultimately wanted to be. We wanted... to be fucking rich in high school and fucking... Self-made. Independent. Dude had an apartment in high school.
Dude was rocking it, dude.
And no matter what anyone says, Mac Miller was a legend and is a legend. And I pray for his family, pray for his friends, because I've actually hung out and met with Jimmy, Q, and Peanut, or Kenny, as some people know him as, all in his show Most Dope Family. And while Mac was in the wrapping up production and signing autographs after the concert, we were talking with them outside, and I literally saw the same thing, that we were suburban kids, party kids. Honestly, just nicest dudes you'll ever meet. So I can only imagine Mac would have been that much nicer. And Chance the Rapper said that Mac Miller sparked his career, gave him credit for sparking his career, and said he was one of the sweetest guys you'll ever hang out with.
Oh yeah, I mean, everybody I've ever heard that claim they hung out with him said he's top notch, dude.
Wish I got to smoke with him.
Yeah, that was on the list, dude. That was my number one dream interview for the podcast was Mac Miller.
Yeah.
If we got him, I'd have known
we made it.
We made it, boys.
But yeah, so to wrap up this episode,
I hate that this has to be the first episode of the new season.
I do too. I wanted it. I
wanted more laughs.
I wanted more laughs. I wanted more energy and less depression.
Yeah, more smiles for sure.
But I didn't want this to be completely depressing. I wanted this not to be harping on his death. I wanted it to be reminiscing on what we enjoyed.
His life, yeah, of course, dude.
And I think that's the way that he would want it, even though I don't know him personally. Just the way that he is and the jubilant guy that he is, I believe that's how he would want us to be. So to wrap this up, it's going to be a tough one. But how we're famous for our Mount Rushmores, we're going to do a Mount Rushmore favorite Mac Miller songs. I'm going to start off by saying Knock Knock, Knock Knock's definitely on there.
Personal Mount Rushmore. I think I'm going to go Diablo 1.
I'm going to go Diablo 2. Diablo's definitely on there.
Diablo's... Desperado is really good, and that's not on mine, but... Diablo's your 2 pick?
Diablo's my 2 pick.
I go Donald Trump.
Donald Trump, that's what made him big. And 4... That's a tough one, because there's just so much. I'm going to say Kool-Aid and frozen pizza. And that's all mainstream. I can go all day talking about...
I can go all day talking about,
Underground Mac.
Yeah.
I can talk about that all day. I can't pick for... No.
Nike's on my feet. Jay's on my feet. Before Nike, no.
Confessions of a Cash Register. Who Ate All the Caviar? He Who Ate All the Caviar. That one's a parody on his own music. That shit's hilarious. If you haven't checked that out, check that out.
Frick Park Market was really good.
Frick Park.
One of the best intros to a music video I've ever seen, dude.
Oh, for sure.
That whole album was really good. Missed Calls was... That was something I blasted for like a solid year.
Yeah, that's when I got dumped and found out I was getting cheated on. So that one kind of made sense. That one hit right at home. Insomniac. It's probably if we were doing Mount Rushmore beats, that would definitely.
That's on my
and
great beat.
Hurt Feelings off Swimming.
Swimming was a really good album.
Swimming was a really good album, and I'm glad we got that before this tragedy happened, because we knew what the state of mind is, or what his state of mind was before we lost him, and that's very important. So, it sucks that you didn't get to see him live, because I wanted to do a favorite Mac Miller memory. But just because you didn't meet him doesn't mean you don't have a memory of him. So if you had to pick a favorite Mac Miller memory, what would it be?
It's probably that time we were in here high as fuck singing to that one girl.
Yeah, that it's a tie between that and when he did Insomniac Live and I did that bass drop. It was pretty fucking real. That was crazy. And him coming out and, saying thank you, all that was... His encore was pretty dope that night, too. There's a lot of motherfuckers who got laid after a Mac Miller concert. He got a lot of people laid. I can guarantee that.
That whole album was just getting people laid, dude.
Oh, for sure.
Cinderella, you played that at the right time. Penny dropper, right
My
there.
favorite
right there.
favorite part.
Favorite part, yeah.
People hated on Define Feminine, and I wasn't.
I wasn't the biggest fan of it.
But it's coming.
It still had some bangers.
Dang was good. We that he did with CeeLo.
We with CeeLo, yeah.
CeeLo Green was great. Yeah, and I thought Swimming was a good comeback.
AM was pretty good.
Good AM's underrated. Weekend with Miguel.
Oh yeah.
Banger.
I still listen to that.
That was a full send for sure. And Festival was pretty deep. I listened to that while tripping. That was crazy.
My first trip was listening to Faces. I just played that.
Oh yeah,
played that on the speaker really low and just like there. I was like, yo.
I listened to all the Faces while tripping on acid. That hour and a half, 2 hours of my peaking was me listening to Faces. And then San Francisco, the song after Insomnia came on, and that's an acid trip song. That's about tripping acid, and him getting naked in a ballroom in San Francisco. Oh my god, just instant rejoice. But yeah, we're gonna wrap it up here. We just wanted to get an episode out, emergency episode out, reminiscing on our role model, our inspiration, and even though we weren't personally close to him, our friend. I know if I met him, he would definitely be a homie. He is a homie. So Mac, if you're looking at us above, man, fly high. We'll miss you. And this is the Two Real Buzz podcast, and we are out.